4 states' most watched news starts now.
Morning news, it's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, a former Webb City Cardinal declares for the NFL draft. We'll have the latest. And the Electoral College selects Joe Biden to be the next president of the United States. For our Something to Talk About, we're asking how you feel about the Electoral College and whether or not you think it should be abolished. We also invite you to participate in our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Overcast skies and a cold Tuesday morning, and what we're keeping our eyes on when we remove this cloud cover is this system out to the west. It's beginning to throw down snow in the northern portion of Kansas. We're going to see some here later this afternoon and evening. From the Freeman Health System sky camera, we sit at 27 degrees, a wind chill right now of only 22. We knew this was all going to be below freezing today, but really shouldn't have any travel concerns for our morning commute. Give you an idea of where that low pressure system is right there, sitting out to the west, only 10 degrees right now in Denver. So a lot of cold air and some moisture with it. Weather trend as we push throughout today is going to have us only in the 30s. But more importantly, let's talk about what's coming our way. Doesn't develop until this afternoon. Starts a little bit as rain to the south, and then we're going to have scattered snow showers roll through there, and just all the way into early Wednesday morning. Until not a whole lot of accumulation. May see places that get as much as half an inch though, and the snow will actually stick around for a little bit. It's going to have some white yards here by the time we get into Wednesday, because our temperatures are going to remain cool. And we get a little bump up. It's nice to see some 50s there for Thursday and Friday. And so what that will do is present Friday as more of the rain mixture than the snow that we'll see today.
We'll be keeping an eye on that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Michael. In a web conference yesterday, different organizations in Kansas came together to express their concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. The Self-Advocate Coalition of Kansas, the Skill Organization, Prairie Independent Living Resource Center, Independent Connection, Topeka Independent Living Resource Center, and Kansas Adapt are all concerned that a large portion of Kansans have been left out of Phase 1A and B. Phase 1A and B will currently distribute the vaccine to healthcare workers in nursing homes. But these groups say Kansans with disabilities who are receiving care in their own homes are at equally high risk and are being left out of Phase 1 along with their caretakers. The city of Joplin is prepping for its first batch of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. City officials say they expect the vaccine to come either this week or next. In Joplin, it will be initially sent to Freeman and Mercy hospitals. While Pfizer's vaccine has been shipped nationally, officials say they're not sure just how much of the vaccine initially will be made available to Joplin.
First and foremost ones that are getting it are those healthcare workers, and then eventually in long-term care facilities. So as more vaccine becomes available, those other individuals will be incorporated into the administration of the vaccine.
City officials say once the COVID vaccine is opened up to the general public, it should be as available as the flu vaccine, meaning it will be in doctors' offices, pharmacies, and even drive-through clinics. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation is looking into an inmate death at the Crawford County Jail. Officials with the jail say officers found 46-year-old William Haddon unresponsive in his cell and tried to give him aid, but were unsuccessful. Haddon was arrested for allegedly robbing a couple of convenience stores and the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas in Pittsburgh. A military veteran in Hutchinson, Kansas got the honors she deserved after a life dedicated to serving others. Corporal. 17-year-old German Shepherd lived through 3 deployments. But over the weekend, it was time for her family to say goodbye. Carolina Laura has more.
A last act of appreciation.
Christmas is her favorite.
A Hutchinson family decked out their home in honor of their 17-year-old military working dog Corporal.
The reason we did the Share the Love Heart was for her. We wanted to do something for her, and we knew this year was going to be rough, so we wanted something permanent that would not relieve us.
Corporal fit right in with this military family. She lived with veterans Stephanie and Eric Casey for 10 years.
Those 10 years compared to the next is going to be hard.
Stephanie says they got Corporal after her handler was killed in Afghanistan.
She was put up for adoption after her 4 years of active service, and We were the lucky ones. She chose to be her family.
Stephanie says Corporal went through a lot.
She went on 3 separate deployments. Her first deployment, her vehicle was hit by an IED, so she got shrapnel in her hip. Her last deployment is when her handler was killed and she received a bullet in her shoulder.
Despite all that, Corporal lived a long and loving life.
All she does is give unconditionally. Love, that's it.
But it was time to say goodbye. After 17 years of looking out for her best friends, Corporal lost her ability to walk and even stand.
She knows that we're doing what we need to for her. We love her, and we'll see her again.
A goodbye like she deserved.
The only way she could go is in a blaze of glory.
Pittsburgh resident Greg Shaw passed away after a year-long battle with brain cancer. He was the theater director at Pittsburgh High School and produced 65 shows during his 13-year career there. High school earned invitations to perform on the main stage at the Kansas State Thespian Festival and the International Thespian Festival. Greg Shaw was 51 years old. Officials with the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, or BNSF, stopped by Joplin's Wildwood Industrial Park yesterday for an announcement. The industrial park is now a certified rail site for the railroad. To become certified, a site must pass environmental and geotechnical evaluations, among other things. The designation is part of a program by BNSF to meet increased customer demand by developing more facilities across the country.
And see who is what industry is interested in being in this region, and then they will come to MOCAN or the chamber and looking for properties that, and if they need that rail, then obviously we'll be the obvious choice for them to look at.
Wildwood Industrial Park is now the second certified rail site in Missouri. Well, some folks in Liberal, Missouri are making sure area people in need have blankets for this cold weather. The 15% and T&D Donkey Rescue are teaming up to collect donations to buy and distribute blankets to children in Head Start and Early Head Start programs in 4 area counties, as well as seniors at area nursing homes.
To know that someone cares about them and loves them and wants them to be warm and comforted, especially when it's, Christmas time and they may or may not be alone. It just felt very important.
In total, they're handing out 525 blankets. It's 5:07.
Key for today is the snow that's going to move in. Now, it's not going to be here until this afternoon and evening, so it won't have any bearing on the morning commute. And as it rolls through right there, all the way late Tuesday night into early Wednesday, not looking at snowstorms or anything, more the scattered variety. We avoid any winter weather advisories. Those all stay out to our west, but it's still going to be a cold one today, that is for sure. Temperatures only in the high 30s, overnight lows back to the 20s.
This morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the election results made official.
As the country marched past 300,000 deaths due to COVID-19, healthcare workers got the first vaccines. I'm Deborah Alfrone in Washington with their story and their plea to you.
Plus, the Carl Junction Bulldogs crossed the state line to take on the Girard Trojans. We'll have highlights and tips on how you can deal with those picky eaters in your household. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Carl Junction girls basketball team finished second at the Joplin Lady Eagle Classic over the weekend. CJ now 4-2 overall to begin the season and right back on the floor last night. Interstate matchup on the road against Girard. First quarter, Jessa Hilton finds Kylie Scott. Nice look. Other end, Michaela Osmus. Called it. 16-16 after one. In the second, Jada Valley puts Girard up 5 with that three. But CJ closes out the half. Hilton for 3. She had 9 in the first half. Haley Shorter from deep. Carl Junction up 33-28 at the break. Pretty good one all night long. Brooke and Talley, the short jumper to give Girard a 1-point lead. But back to Hilton. She had 23 last night. as CJ wins this over Girard 54-50. Carthage girls at home taking on the Central Bulldogs. Haley Fullerton, early three for the Tigers. Three of her team high, 22. Then off the miss. Watch Sophie Shannon doing work down low. Cleans it up. Carthage up 7 after the first quarter. In the second, more from Shannon. Yep. Keep rebounding. And the pass into Bryna Ream. Jumper at the elbow. Tigers head to halftime up 7 and add to that lead in the second half, win it 63-51. Former Webb City High School football standout Zach Davidson is going to take his shot at the NFL, announcing he's declaring for 2021 NFL draft eligibility. Former Webb City Cardinal, one of the best tight ends in the country at the college level. At Central Missouri in 2019, Davidson racked up 849 yards and 15 touchdowns. All-American. He says he started to feel it was the right decision when agents and people in the league started asking about his future plans.
First, you're like, I still got another year of play. Just wait. Like I got more to show you. I promise. It's nice to know that people are asking about your name, asking about you, who you are as a man, who are you as a player, on and off the field. It is reassuring. As a kid, it's every kid's dream who plays sports to play professionally.
Kansas City Chiefs clinched their 5th consecutive AFC West title, beat the Dolphins 33-27 on Sunday. KC now 12-1 this season and currently holding the #1 seed in the AFC playoff bracket. Definitely not the prettiest win of the year, but no such thing as racking up a W in the call. Turned the ball over 4 times. Patrick Mahomes was picked off 3 times. He only had 2 interceptions coming into the game. Despite that, he still threw for 393 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh, Chiefs also got a special teams touchdown. Don't forget that. And the defense making just enough plays to get it done.
On that first half, I mean, it's 80-something degrees outside, and I'm putting the defense back on the field over and over again, and they're finding ways to get stops and keeping us in that ball game so the offense can get going. And so it just shows that we have a veteran group of guys that really understand that we just have to make sure that we keep each other accountable and keep playing for the guy next to you, and we can find ways to win football games.
Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the latest from Nigeria, where hundreds of students were kidnapped from school. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Just past 5:17 on this Tuesday morning. Roll a little weather on the 7s. It is cloudy. It is cold. Let's go ahead and remove the cloud cover because here's what we're going to focus on today is this low pressure system that's already dropping some snow just on the other side of Wichita and then down through Oklahoma City as well. Now, we avoid any winter weather advisories or winter storm warnings. The advisories there in purple. Winter storm warning in white, that's because they're looking at 3 to 5 inches. They're looking at anywhere from about 1.5 to 1 inch. And then, so that shows you that snow's going to taper off. Not that we're not going to get any. We are. But it's not just going to be as widespread as what we'll see to the west. Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. 27 degrees with a wind chill right now only of 22. Everybody below the freezing mark. 26 in Pittsburgh, 29 in Neosho, and 28 in Chanute. We'll call sunrise on the bus stop forecast, 7:25 over Joplin. Clouds not going to go anywhere, just not a whole lot of sunshine early. But they'll be able to get off to school in the dry fashion. They won't have to worry about any of that snow creeping in early. And really, like I said, since it'll be scattered, not going to be too bad coming home. Low one on the wind chill mark is going to be Iola right now, 14 degrees nationally speaking. That gives you an idea of the trough of the jet stream creating that low pressure system that's headed our way. So as we work into the afternoon hours, like I said, it's going to be a little bit cloudy, but don't have to worry about the snow really until we get to the late afternoon, early evening hours. And when it does roll through, it's not going to be, not going to be snowing all night long or anything like that. Probably about 1/2 inch of accumulation, of course, more so on grassy surfaces. But look at this, it's going to stick around. Not going to be one of those like over the weekend where it just disappeared as soon as it hit the ground. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page, our morning Insta poll, as President-elect Joe Biden addressed the country after the Electoral College officially recognized his victory. The college vote is not usually the subject of fanfare, but it did take on new importance this election as President Trump continues to make claims of voter fraud. Deborah Alfarone has the latest from D.C.
Our democracy pushed, tested, threatened, proved to be resilient, true, and strong.
It's official. The Electoral College formally chose Joe Biden as the country's 46th president. The president-elect called for unity and thanked election workers in his primetime address.
It is my sincere hope we never again see anyone subjected to the kind of threats and abuse we saw in this election. It's simply unconscionable. We owe these public servants a debt of gratitude. Our democracy survived because of them.
In the end, Biden received a total of 306 electoral votes. President Trump, 232. The usually fanfare-free Electoral College vote took on new meaning as President Trump has fought to sow doubt and overturn the election through tweets, lawsuits, and the Supreme Court. The president continues to claim, without evidence, there was widespread voter fraud.
I worry about the country having an illegitimate president. That's what I worry about.
The court sent a clear signal to President Trump that there would be no part of an unprecedented assault on our democracy.
Here on Capitol Hill, many Republican lawmakers had yet to acknowledge Joe Biden's win. With Monday's Electoral College vote, that may change.
Once the Electoral College settles the issue today, that it's time for everybody to move on.
The day wasn't without controversy. In Michigan, legislative offices were closed based on credible threats of violence, and state police had to block a group of pro-Trump supporters from entering the Capitol. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
4 times in history, a candidate that won the popular vote has lost the Electoral College, most recently 2016 and in 2000. Our question to you is, should the Electoral College be abolished? You can either log on to our Facebook page and tell us why, or take part in our Insta poll. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Healthwatch next.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, picky eating is common among young children, especially those on the autism spectrum. Meals can be even more challenging during the holidays when new food is often introduced. Mandy Gaither has 4 tips to help keep the peace at the dinner table.
Fruits and veggies are an important part of any diet, but getting your children to eat them isn't always easy.
We know that between the ages of 2 and 6 are when picky eating is at its height.
Dr. William Sharp, director of the Marcus Autism Center's feeding program at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, says around 90% of children with autism have some sort of food-related issue, from sensory to sameness.
So the foods that children with autism, especially in the United States, are gravitating toward are processed foods that look the same, taste the same from bite to bite, from serving to serving.
And that's not good for a child's health. Dr. Sharp says parents of any picky eater should set realistic expectations, give small portions of a new food so it's not overwhelming, add only 1 new food per meal. If the child can talk, give them options.
We've got 3 vegetables here. Which one would you like to have on your plate this holiday?
Finally, celebrate success.
If a child tries 1 bite of a green bean, we'd say celebrate that, and the next time you present a green bean, 1 bite would be the expectation. And then after the child's shown multiple times that 1 bite of green bean is not that challenging, move to 2 bites, but don't move from 1 green bean to an entire bowl of green beans.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, if your picky eater loses weight, has nutritional deficiency, or is interrupting daily life at home, for example, the family can't eat meals together, it's time to seek out care from a doctor. Bacteria found in the mouth could lead to lung cancer, even if you're a non-smoker. A new study published in Thorax finds a certain type and volume of bacteria raises the risk for lung cancer. Bacteria in the mouth has been associated with other cancers, including head and neck. Researchers wanted to see if the same was true for lung cancer, since bacteria can enter the lungs through the mouth. A new study shows younger adults diagnosed with type 2 diabetes face a greater risk of dying in heart disease. Australian researchers studied the rise in diabetes cases for 20 to 44-year-olds and found diabetes can prematurely age the heart. Doctors say younger adults are also at risk for developing complications earlier in life. Apathy could predict some forms of dementia years before any other symptoms. Doctors at the University of Cambridge say a common feature of dementia often found in adults between the ages of 45 and 65 is a loss of interest or motivation. Apathy should not be confused with depression or laziness. Researchers hope their findings could help doctors treat patients before they see cognitive decline. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
No snow. It won't be here till this afternoon, so no early morning travel concerns, but it's cloudy and cold out. Highs today only in the 30s, and then snow tonight. We'll be back right after this.
Good morning, I'm Tanya Bach with your KOAM News Update. Different organizations in Kansas came together to express concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. Phase 1A and B will currently distribute the vaccine to healthcare workers in nursing homes, but groups such as Skills say Kansans with disabilities who are receiving care in their own homes are at equally high risk and are being left out of Phase 1 along with their caretakers. KBI investigates the death of an armed robbery suspect held at the Crawford County Jail. Officials with the jail say officers found 46-year-old William Haddon unresponsive in his cell and tried to give him aid, but were unsuccessful. A judge sentences a Joplin man suspected in a 2019 murder. Authorities say Michael Osborne stabbed Sean Rockers to death in January of 2019. As part of a plea deal, Osborne was only convicted on second-degree murder and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Here's Michael with today's forecast.
Cold early and eventually a little snow coming at us for the late afternoon and evening hours. Not looking at anything that's going to be severe, really shouldn't hamper travel too much. We'll stick around though as our temperatures are going to drop down into the 20s for the next couple of nights before we rebound 50s for the weekend. All the latest on the Skywatch Weather app.
And I was trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces. AA not only keeps me sober, it helps me live a much better life. If you have a problem with alcohol, contact AA. It works for me.
Why some local organizations are voicing concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. Plus how Joplin's preparing for its first batch of COVID vaccines. And the KBI investigates the death of an armed robbery suspect at the Crawford County Jail.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, something to talk about today is about the Electoral College. We're asking whether or not you think it should be abolished. We also invite you to participate in this morning's Instapoll. Just visit KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Cloudy and cold to start off our Tuesday. Remove the cloud cover there. We can take a look exactly where the snow is. Still sitting out to our west. It'll be on us, but won't affect our morning travel because it's not going to show up until late afternoon/evening. 27 right now in Joplin, 28 in Parsons, and 28 in Monette. Remember those temperatures. We've had wind chills as low as 14. Give you an idea of exactly where the jet stream is setting up and that low pressure right underneath that trough right there. And so that's just going to keep on pushing to the east and head our way as our temperatures are going to only make it up into the 30s later on today. Here's what Future Track has in store. We can kind of slow this down and watch it develop out to the west. And so like I said, it's not going to affect us this morning. Now we see it creeping up there for the afternoon. And then from the nighttime into early Wednesday morning, it's not a whole lot, but we'll see patches that will get anywhere about ½ an inch of snow. If you are headed down south, you got to go even on the other side of Tulsa tonight, please know that they have winter weather advisories down there. We are able to escape anything like that, but do lock in for a chilly week ahead. Finally, though, we get some 50s here by the end of the week.
All right. Sounds like the temperature should be decent by the weekend.
Yeah, it's pretty normal for this time of year. Nothing really jumps out. And like I said, this time the snow will actually stay on the grass a little bit.
There you go. All right, thanks, Michael. Multiple organizations in Kansas, including the Self-Advocate Coalition of Kansas and the Skill Organization, are expressing their concerns with Phase 1 of the Kansas vaccine distribution plan, saying a large portion of Kansans have been excluded from that first round of distribution. KOAM's Caitlin Shive spoke with the Southeast Kansas Independent Living President and CEO to find out more.
In a web conference Monday morning, multiple disability advocacy independent living organizations, including Southeast Kansas Independent Living, joined together to express their concern with the Kansas vaccine distribution plan.
Group home settings and people who have in-home care should also be included in those first-line workers, because they're all people that are extremely at risk. People who, have care providers, just like this happening in the nursing facilities. So we want to make sure that all people are protected, but we think that people with disabilities should have been included in that first round.
Sherry Coatney with Skill says those with disabilities living in a congregate situation or at home and their attendants are at an equally high risk to those listed in Phase 1 of distribution.
It's not housekeeping services, it's personal care services. And so they are very essential workers. And the people who receive those services clearly have pre-existing conditions. So their need to have the immunization available to them is very important.
The web conference highlighted personal stories from people with disabilities on how important it is that they are included.
My attendant may have been exposed, and that has meant she's had to stay away for 14 days or so. And that has affected me in what I can do here at home, both in like caring for myself. One of them was positive, and I ended up having to quarantine and not having anybody come in at all to help me, even though I feel like we could have figured out what to do with that. I just don't like the feeling of being in that situation at all.
Coatney is afraid of what could happen to those living congruently together if they are unable to get the vaccine right away.
One person gets exposed, it's just a chain of events that they're going to be exposed as well. And they have less ability to keep themselves isolated.
The groups have reached out to the Kansas Department of Health but are still waiting to hear back. Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
We've also reached out to the Kansas Department of Health as well, but have not heard back. City of Joplin is prepping for its first batch of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. City officials say they expect the vaccine to come either this week or next. In Joplin, it will initially be sent to Freeman and Mercy hospitals. While Pfizer's vaccine has been shipped nationally, officials say they're not sure just yet how much of the vaccine will initially be made available to Joplin. Kansas Bureau of Investigation looks into an inmate death at the Crawford County Jail. Officials with the jail say officers found 46-year-old William Haddon unresponsive in his cell and tried to give him aid but were unsuccessful. Haddon was arrested for allegedly robbing a couple of convenience stores and the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas in Pittsburgh. A judge sentences a Joplin man suspected in a 2019 murder. Authorities say Michael Osborne killed Sean Rockers of Joplin in January of 2019. Rockers was stabbed and found in the street at 3rd and Connor. Osborne was later found and arrested in Washington State. As part of a plea deal, Osborne was only convicted on second-degree murder and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Republican Party officials picked to serve as Kansas members of the Electoral College on Monday cast the state's 6 electoral votes for President Donald Trump. The electors convened at the State House in the House chamber with Secretary of State Scott Schwab, the state's chief election official, presiding over their 15-minute meeting. They first cast votes for president and then for vice president Mike Pence, and afterwards signed documents certifying their actions. Donald Trump carried Kansas with more than 56% of the vote in the November election, while Democrat Joe Biden received less than 42%. Similar scene played out across the state line in Missouri. Missouri's Electoral College members met in the state capitol to cast their votes for president and vice president of the United States. Each of Missouri's 10 electors met and cast their votes unanimously for President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence. Nationwide, Joe Biden carried enough states to win 306 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 232. There were no faithless electors. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We're going to tell you how one teen's invention is bringing people closer together. Plus, one of the world's most active volcanoes erupts. We'll have the latest there, but first, it's 5:37.
Temperatures only in the 30s today. And of course, the big thing is we're waiting on the snow to arrive. Not going to be here until later this evening. It will last, though, through the nighttime hours. Shouldn't really affect travel. We keep all the advisories and winter storm warnings out to our southwest. But the snow will stick around a little bit, so even if you miss it falling down live, it'll still be on the ground with the cool temperatures throughout the course of the week. We'll be back with World Watch next.
Topping World Watch, a huge military operation is underway in Nigeria to rescue hundreds of students who were kidnapped from their school. Ian Lee is in London with the latest on efforts to get the schoolboys back.
Usama Aminu is one of the lucky ones. He escaped a terrifying attack on his school Friday. Gunmen on motorcycles armed with AK-47s stormed the boarding school at night, kidnapping hundreds of students. When I decided to run, they brought a knife to slaughter me, but I ran away quickly, he recalls. They couldn't get me. Many students ran as a gunfight broke out between the attackers and security forces. The all-boys school is home to roughly 800 students. Half of them are missing.
Our last prayer is to see that our children are back.
This father says our only prayer is to see that our children are returned safely. The school is now empty. The chaos of that night is frozen in time. Government troops believe they have the gunmen surrounded in a nearby forest. While no one has claimed responsibility for the kidnappings, authorities blame bandits looking for a ransom. Ian Lee, CBS News.
The attack comes 6 years after jihadist group Boko Haram kidnapped 276 girls from their school in Nigeria's northeastern region. About 100 of them are still missing. The United States takes Sudan off of its list of state sponsors of terror. Sudan's prime minister welcomed the move on Twitter. The two nations reached a deal in October for the U.S. to remove Sudan's designation from the list. Under the agreement, Sudan has to pay $335 million for victims of the 1998 twin bombings against the U.S. embassies in Tanzania and Kenya. Sudan had been listed as a state sponsor of terrorism since 1993. One of the world's most active volcanoes rumbles out of slumber Sunday in Italy. Mount Etna on the island of Sicily erupts into a beautiful orange night glow show, sending out lava fountains onto its south slope and plumes of ash into the sky. Authorities reported no danger to the towns that dot the mountain slope. Etna is a UN World Heritage Site and one of 16 decade volcanoes for continued study under a UN project. Well, people got to witness a rare sight in parts of Chile. They got to observe a total eclipse of the sun. Despite rainfall and an overcast sky, there was a moment when the clouds opened up and allowed people to witness the eclipse. The sight of it delighted the crowds who had gathered in Pucón region to take it all in. South America will not see another total eclipse of the sun for another 28 years. The empty vial from the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine given in the UK will be put on display at a London museum. The first COVID-19 vaccination in the world was given to 90-year-old Margaret Keenan on December 8th. That historic vial and syringe will join a collection at the Science Museum early next year. The items will be displayed in a gallery devoted to the history of medicine. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, the Electoral College choosing Joe Biden to be the nation's next president as he received 306 electoral votes to President Trump's 232. Advisors say the president nonetheless plans to continue to contest the election results. Electoral College has been the subject of controversy as it does make it popular to win the popular vote but lose the electoral vote. As a matter of fact, it's happened as recently as 2016 and in 2000. Our something to talk about is should the Electoral College be abolished? Casey just says we're doomed. Benjamin Belcher says no. What we need are standardized and transparent voting laws. And Rick Norton says no as well. We need photo ID and in-person requirements to vote. Candy Misty Forrest, she's worried this article is going to bring out the haters to vent their ignorance. I hope not, Candy. Candy also says the rule of law, our Constitution, and the will of the people prevailed over Trump's effort to undo the results of the election. The flame of democracy was lit in this nation a long time ago. And Jeff Weir says Joe Biden will never be president. Joe is reminding us that when our incomparable producer, Caden Milner, posted this, it was like 4 a.m. Go back to sleep. I don't blame you, Joe. I don't blame you at all. Our Insta poll this morning has 67% of you saying no, the Electoral College should not be abolished. You can take part. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back. The news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. McCune, Kansas woman dies in a 3-vehicle crash yesterday evening. It happened a little after 6 on Highway 400, about 10 miles east of US 59. Police say 44-year-old Mandy Carstetter was traveling east when she attempted to turn north onto Messer Road. Her vehicle was rear-ended by a truck following from behind and then struck again by a semi heading west. Carstetter was pronounced dead at the scene. Kansas Bureau of Investigation is looking into an inmate death at the Crawford County Jail. Officials with the jail say officers found 46-year-old William Haddon unresponsive in his cell, tried to give him aid, but were unsuccessful. Haddon was arrested for allegedly robbing a couple of convenience stores and the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas in Pittsburgh. Different organizations in Kansas came together to express their concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. Phase 1A and B will currently distribute the vaccine to healthcare workers and nursing homes, but groups such as Skills say Kansans with disabilities who are receiving care in their own homes are at equally high risk and are being left out of Phase 1 along with their caretakers. City of Joplin is prepping for its first batch of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. City officials say they expect the vaccine to come either this week or next. In Joplin, it will be initially sent to Freeman and Mercy hospitals, while Pfizer's vaccine has been shipped nationally. Officials say they're not sure yet just how much of the vaccine will initially be made available to Joplin. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Cold one on this Tuesday, and also too, we're going to have some afternoon and evening snow. So only going to make it up into the 30s. Here's what we're looking at from the precip. Majority of it really is going to fall out to the west and southwest of it. They're looking at 3 to 5 inches down at OKC. And then as we progress through the nighttime hours, you see it's relatively scattered, but we'll see patches that'll pick up anywhere from about ½ an inch of accumulation. They'll stick around too, because we'll drop below freezing here for Wednesday morning, and we begin to clear out and actually head toward the 50s. That's not going to be till the end of the week, though. Shouldn't have any travel impacts for this afternoon, but do be apprised if you have to be out late tonight. And of course, you can always find the latest on the Skywatch Weather app.
Some nursing home residents in Mississippi can now give the most precious gift of all, a hug. As Quentin Smith reports from Yazoo City, that was made possible by hugging booths donated by a Good Samaritan.
Hey, Mama. For Gail Hildebrand, this is a moment that's been in the making for more than 8 months.
Hello, my mama.
Being able to hug and hold her mother.
That's a pipe right there.
The two haven't shared this kind of warm embrace ever since the facility her mom is staying at, Martha Coker Homes, went on lockdown back in March.
We've been looking for that and been begging for it for a long time. Because that's Mama.
She's my baby girl.
And I'm her baby girl, so that's special. That means a whole lot.
For Kathleen Griffin, she began crying tears of joy when finding out she's getting to see and hold her youngest son.
I hadn't hugged him in 6 weeks. And he's my baby.
I love you, honey.
I love you.
Yes, ma'am, I do. I do.
Since the start of the pandemic, these families could only have window visits with their loved ones. And while they made it work, they say they were still yearning for that physical touch. Being away from each other for so long is what makes this moment even more special.
Me and Mama's always been there. We've always hugged each other. We've always been with each other. So it's rough. It's been really rough on all of us.
This was all made possible thanks to 17-year-old Cooper Williams. He built and donated the hugging booths as part of his Eagle Scout project.
I just wanted to make it a little bit easier on them.
He says after seeing what families were going through in light of the pandemic, he knew he wanted to lend a helping hand.
That made me really happy to see all the emotion that it brought them and how happy it was for them just to be able to touch them.
It's amazing. I mean, it's just been so moving and so touching in a time that could have been so drastic and so depressing to where it's been uplifting and something that they look forward to.
Well, the nursing home has multiple buildings and each one has its own hugging booth. What a great idea.
That you can find on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, and that is our Notes to the North. You have the opportunity, along with the little ones, to send Santa a letter, and we've even struck a deal with the Union of the North Pole. He's going to be on the KOAM Morning News from December 17th to the 24th reading those letters from our 4-state kids. So once again, you go to KOAMnewsnow.com/North Pole, or if it's easier, you can just go to our front page of KOAM News Now, then right there on the right-hand side, you just click on that. It's going to open up a brand new window for you, and you sit down, and it's, I mean, Santa made it a form even, so it's pretty easy to do right there. And like I said, we're going to have Santa on air from the 17th to the 24th reading those. So if you'd like to take part, get those in so we can make sure we get them mailed out in time. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page this morning, we're asking, should the Electoral College be abolished? And we'll pick up our comments with Michelle Pacini with a Morning Mama in Delray. One thing we say good morning, Michelle. One thing we all know is every politician will always stop and throw a fit if they lose, no matter the side. They're all the same, nothing but big crybabies. As I said before, they're their own worst enemies. Joe, I'm going to come back to yours in a second. Tony Hodge says, I'm not sticking my finger in that wasp's nest. Have a good day. Tony, you have a good day as well. Bill Bailey says, KOM, quit focusing on the bleep and focus on the real news. Put the truth out there, liars. Bill, I can tell you that it is real news that the Electoral College was counted yesterday. Merle Bass says this is coming only from the criminal Chinese Democrat Party and their Marxist mainstream mockingbird propaganda media that props up their communist overlords to help them cheat and steal more effective. And Sherry, with a good question here, thought the results were not certified until January, and that's why I'm going to jump down to Joe, who gives us the reminder, Electoral College is not certified until Congress certifies it. And yes, that does happen in January. Yesterday was merely the counting, and sometimes you get what are called faithless electors, and parties and states have different rules as far as what those do, but President-elect Biden ended up with 306 Electoral College votes, and now we will wait for Congress to certify those. Okay, on the Insta poll this morning, we've got 69% of you say that no, the Electoral College should be abolished. It should. You're saying no, you don't want to abolish it. Only 31% of you say yes. You can take part. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back right after this. Highs in the 30s, snow coming for the evening. Won't be here to affect our morning commute, but be safe if you're out late tonight. Looking at anywhere from about ½ an inch of accumulation. We'll be back right after this.
Why some local organizations are voicing concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. Plus how Joplin's preparing for its first batch of COVID vaccines. And the KBI investigates the death of an armed robbery suspect at the Crawford County Jail.
The 4 states most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, what you need to know about doing your holiday shopping last minute. And the Electoral College selects Joe Biden to be the next president. For something to talk about, we're asking how you feel about the Electoral College and whether or not it should be abolished. Be sure to participate in our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Cloudy and cold for a Tuesday morning. Without the cloud cover, we get a better shot of exactly where the snow is moving through out to the west. Not going to be here in time to play a role in our morning commute, but we'll be watching it this evening into the nighttime. Only 28 degrees from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin, everybody. Below the freezing mark, and that's also too why when we do see the snow, it's going to stick around for a little bit, as it ranges right now from panhandles up through northern Kansas into Nebraska, everything moving from west to east. For our weather trend today, only going to make it up into the 30s. More importantly, let's talk precipitation, because as it gradually gets upon us, you notice down there by Oklahoma City, down there at the bottom, they're in the middle of a winter storm warning. They're looking anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. It kind of breaks up, though, as it gets over us. But still, at the same point in time, we need to be apprised of patchy spots, because chances are it's still going to be falling there, during the nighttime hours. So I want everybody very, very careful if you got to make a Tuesday night road trip anywhere. 7-day forecast shows you snow is going to stick around a little bit with our overnight lows below freezing. And then we back up. We actually see some 50s there by the time we get to the weekend.
I'm looking forward to a little mini warm-up at least. Keep those overnight lows above freezing.
That'd be nice. And but at the same point, snow probably sticks around there for 2 days.
Will it be the right kind of snow?
Half an inch. What are you going to do with half an inch? You're going to make a snowman.
Will it be the right kind of snow to build a snowman?
There's not enough.
You can, okay.
You know, drop down to Oklahoma City,
So don't get
where they
excited.
get 3 to 5.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Don't get excited, kids.
No, I don't anticipate cancellations or anything like that.
All right. All right. Thank you, Michael. Well, at a web conference yesterday, different organizations in Kansas came together to express their concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. The Self-Advocate Coalition of Kansas, the Skill Organization, Prairie Independent Living Resource Center, Independent Connection, Topeka Independent Living Resource Center, and Kansas Adapt are all concerned that a large portion of Kansans have been left out of Phase 1A and B. Phase 1A and B will currently distribute the vaccine to healthcare workers in nursing homes, but these groups say Kansans with disabilities who are receiving care in their own homes are at equally high risk and are being left out of Phase 1 along with their caretakers.
Group home settings and people who have in-home care should also be included in those first line workers, because they're all people that are extremely at risk. People who, have care providers, just like this happening in the nursing facilities. So we want to make sure that all people are protected, but we think that people with disabilities should have been included in that first round.
Organizations have reached out to the state health department about writing those with disabilities in independent living situations into Phase 1. They're waiting to hear back. City of Joplin is prepping for its first batch of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine, and while some are hesitant to get this shot, others say they are more than ready. KOAM's Kate Kelly shares why one nurse at a senior facility says she hopes she's the first in line for this dose of hope.
The pandemic has been hard on all of us, especially healthcare workers in hospitals and senior living facilities. That's why they're included in the first wave of people eligible for the vaccine.
It's a miracle, just what it is bringing to our seniors and healthcare in general. And we're really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. Almost makes me want to cry.
Arrow Senior Living presides over dozens of senior care facilities, including the Wildwood in Joplin. This nurse says this vaccine is delivering a dose of much-needed hope.
For me, it means a further advancement in a way to keep my family safe. It is a way for me to continue to be in my communities and providing the care and the love and the compassion that our residents need.
The city of Joplin says the vaccine will be going to Freeman and Mercy hospitals first. Mercy is expecting to see the vaccine as early as this week.
First and foremost ones that are getting it are those healthcare workers, and then eventually in long-term care facilities. So as more vaccine becomes available, those other individuals will be incorporated into the administration of the vaccine.
The goal is to vaccinate at least 70% of the population in order to obtain herd immunity, effectively combating the coronavirus that has plagued us the past 9 months.
We really encourage individuals to take advantage of the vaccine as it becomes available. The larger percentage of individuals in our area that get vaccinated early, the quicker this goes away.
I have full confidence in what our pharmaceutical companies are doing, the CDC overseeing it, the FDA, everybody, they always have best intentions. And so I truly believe in my heart of hearts that this is the right thing.
In Joplin, Kate Kelly, KOAM News.
While Pfizer's vaccine has been shipped nationally, officials say they're not sure yet just how much of the vaccine will initially be made available to Joplin. City officials did say that the vaccine should be continually distributed until everyone who chooses to be vaccinated is. Well, the Kansas Bureau of Investigation is looking into an inmate death at the Crawford County Jail. Officials with the jail say officers found 46-year-old William Haddon unresponsive in his cell, tried to give him aid, but were unsuccessful. Haddon was arrested for allegedly robbing a couple of convenience stores and the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas in Pittsburgh. Police in Coffeyville, Kansas say this man is wanted in connection to a shooting that happened November 26th. Police say 28-year-old Patrick Shoby was one of the people involved in that shooting near 5th and Sycamore Streets. Anyone with information on Shoby's location or about the shooting itself is asked to call Coffeyville Police. A McCune, Kansas woman dies in a 3-vehicle crash yesterday evening. It happened a little after 6 on Highway 400, about 10 miles east of US 59. Police say 44-year-old Mandy Carstetter was traveling east when she attempted to turn north onto Messer Road. Her vehicle was rear-ended by a truck following behind and then struck again by a semi heading west. Carstetter was pronounced dead at the scene. The other 2 drivers were uninjured. Our annual Toy Box campaign is almost wrapped up, and we're getting some help from the Carl Junction Junior High. Riley Carroll, an 8th grader, came up with the idea to host a school event called How CJ Saved Christmas. Kids were encouraged to dress up for a different theme each day and bring in toys to donate.
Yeah, I'm really excited that we can bring joy to these other kids that we know that aren't going to get a Christmas, and this could be their first Christmas, especially if they're younger.
How CJ Saved Christmas will run through the 18th. As part of our Toy Box campaign each year, we ask you for donations of toys and money to buy toys to give to area kids in need. All of your donations can stay in the county you live in, and you can find a list of toy drop-off locations on our website. That's at KOAMnewsnow.com, or you can donate by phone during our last Toy Box Tuesday telethon, and that is today on our noon, 5, and 6 p.m. news. 6:07.
Temperature is only going to make it into the 30s today. Mostly cloudy skies and snow moving in from the west for the late afternoon and evening hours. Not looking at a whole lot of accumulation right there as it rolls through. Probably about half an inch. Certainly nothing like what they're going to get down to the southwest. Oklahoma City's in the midst of a winter weather warning. They're looking at 3 to 5. 7-day forecast. A little bit of a warm up here by the end of the week, but still chilly here for the next 2 days.
Look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, better lights.
A new safety report is putting a spotlight on a common vehicle safety issue. I'm Danya Backus, and I'll tell you how automakers are improving headlights.
Plus, Americans begin receiving the Pfizer vaccine across the nation. We'll have the latest, and we'll have some tips on getting that last-minute Christmas shopping done. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, the federal open enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act ends at midnight tonight. It's the last chance for millions of uninsured Americans to buy coverage for 2021. A study from the Kaiser Family Foundation found more than 15 million people can get coverage for free or for reduced price. In the states that operate their own exchanges, the enrollment deadlines may extend into next month. Creators of one of the year's most anticipated video games is apologizing just days after its release. Cyberpunk 2077 has been plagued with bugs and crashes since its debut. Now CD Projekt Red is offering refunds for customers unsatisfied with the game. Cyberpunk 2077, which features cameos from Keanu Reeves and Elon Musk, is an action role-playing game set in a megalopolis. Developers say the $60 game was pre-ordered more than 8 million times. Wow, that's a lot of refunds. Well, a new report says many automakers are seeing the light when it comes to an important safety feature. Danya Backus reports.
Well-designed cars can save lives during a crash, but experts say it's best to avoid an accident in the first place, and good headlights are key.
When you look at traffic fatalities in the United States, almost 50% of those fatalities occur when it's dark. And so headlights are often the critical safety feature that most of us don't think about.
David Harkey is president of the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, or IIHS. The group has been pushing the auto industry to install better headlights for years and is now finally seeing progress. Many car companies are removing older halogen lights and replacing them with newer LEDs that can light up the road an additional 100 feet.
And that's how we rate these headlights. We rate them in terms of how far they can see down the roadway, both on a straight section as well as a curved section of road.
A number of automakers have improved that headlight rating on their 2021 models, allowing them to earn the IIHS's highest safety rating.
We've been impressed by the rate at which the automakers have responded to this need.
Harkey says many new vehicles also come with high beam assist, which can activate the high beams on an empty road and then automatically switch to low beams if another car is detected.
Drivers do not utilize their high beams often enough, and so having this high beam assist feature can really help one see further down the roadway.
The IIHS says that can save lives, and it would like to see improved headlights become standard equipment in more vehicles. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And that's it from Money Watch. Now here's Michael with our Something to Talk About.
This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll asking if you think the Electoral College should be abolished as the votes were counted yesterday. And we'll begin our comments with Nicole, who says the Electoral College may have, but the majority of Americans did not. She said, with that being said, Trump is my president. Rick Younger says, not true. The process, far from over. Quit spewing the false narrative. Travis Henry says, either way, Biden won. And Michael Burton, in Missouri, we still want him. Joe Biden may bring taxes up. As a matter of fact, all 4 of our states, Electoral College speaking, went to President Donald Trump. On the KOAM News Now Insta poll this morning, 66% of you say no. The Electoral College should not be abolished. You still got time to vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Let's come back, update the Skywatch Storm Tracker right after this. Little past 6:17, roll a little weather on the 7s. Cloudy and cold. Let's go ahead and get rid of the cloud cover so we can see just how far the snow has advanced, just about to Wichita right now, and down in Oklahoma City as well. They're going to have a little mess on their hands down in OKC as they have a winter weather warning just for the suburbs and pushing out to the west. That's indicated in white, and then these are winter weather advisories that we see in purple. So that gives you an idea that the accumulation is going to stay out to our west and southwest. We're able actually to avoid any advisories for that matter, not even warnings. Freeman Health System sky camera, a little haze there on the camera. 28 degrees is where we stand. It is a chilly one as we've got temperatures consistently below the freezing mark. Sunrise for the kids, 7:25, but still mostly cloudy, so not a very sunshiny start for them. But nice thing is no travel concerns, just keeping warm as we've seen wind chills as low as 14 in Iowa. Only feels like it's 20 right now in Mount Vernon, and there is the big low pressure system that we'll be tracking all afternoon long. Now it's not going to get here until the afternoon or evening hours, and when it does, you see that good system over there. That's why they've got the advisories and the warnings and whatnot. And so ours is going to be pretty patchy, looking at half an inch of accumulation every now and then, but not widespread, not a snowstorm by any means. We'll stick around though with overnight lows that are going to be down in the 20s and not going to see the 50s there until the end of the work week. This happens to be the shipping industry's busiest time of the year. In fact, it's being called Ship-A-Geddon by some. Package delivery companies say Americans really don't need to worry about delays in the arrival of holiday gifts, just deadlines for making sure that they get there for their destination. Our own Jesse Irwin with that story.
Well, it's the holidays, and like every year, shipping companies say when it comes to mailing that present to mom, the earlier the better. And not to stress you out, but because everyone's spending more time at home in 2020, Adobe Analytics expects online shopping sales to grow by as much as 33% this holiday season compared to 2019. But the reality is that as long as you work ahead, you'll be fine. That being said, if you've been procrastinating and anticipate missing those deadlines, here's a few gift ideas that can bail you out. For one, if you're online shopping, make sure you're using deal hunting and price comparison sites like WikiBuy, Honey, Retail Me Not, and Student Beans if you're in school. These can not only find you deals and save you money on gifts, but they can also suggest some great options if you're in need of a little last-minute inspiration. Another option for a buzzer-beater gift is signing up a loved one for a subscription box. From clothing to shaving supplies to a different bottle of wine every month, this is the perfect excuse to tell them that their gift is in the mail. Or here's a fun one, Giftly, a site where you can send up to $1,000 towards something specific without needing to specify where they spend it. Then they can choose to receive it either as a Visa gift card, direct deposit, or in a PayPal account. And once they spend it, they can send you a virtual thank you card letting you know where and how they spent it. If you want to be more specific, but you're not 100% sure of their sizing or style preference, check out giftnow.com. You can select an item that you want to buy for them, then the gift is sent to their email, and from there they can pick the size, color, or specifications before it ships, or if they don't like it, they can swap it out for something else entirely. Last but not least, a great way to not have to worry about gifts arriving on time is by taking a walk up the street to your local small business or mom and pop shop. Go and pick out something specific to your corner of the 4 states. You'd be pleasantly surprised at what small businesses have in store for the holiday season.
We'll list out some of those important shipping deadlines on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And while you're there, you can also take part in our Notes to the North poll. It's as simple as clicking on the link on our front page. You can sit down with the littles and have them type up a letter to Santa. And we're going to have Santa on the KOAM Morning News from the 17th to the 24th reading those stories from all our 4-state boys and girls. We'll be back with Healthwatch right after this.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, the march to eliminate the coronavirus in America began yesterday with vaccinations across the country. It comes as the country passed an unfortunate milestone, 300,000 dead from COVID-19. As CBS's Deborah Alfarone reports, the healthcare workers who got the first vaccines say wearing masks and social distancing are still needed to fight the virus.
3, 2, 1. Vaccinate!
Monday was an emotional day for the healthcare workers who received the first vaccinations against the coronavirus.
I want to inspire people, especially the patients that look like me and I take care of every day, that it's okay to get vaccinated. It's safe.
The energy in that room as we were all waiting to get the vaccine was the most excited I've seen anybody in so long.
Nurse Sandra Lindsay has been battling the pandemic since the virus first hit her hospital in hard-hit Queens, New York.
I hope this marks the beginning to the end of a very painful time in our history.
More than 300,000 Americans have now died from COVID-19. And since much of the general public is not expected to get the vaccine until the spring, those who got vaccinated say public health measures are still a must.
Continue the social distancing, to wear a mask, to wash your hands.
2.9 million Pfizer doses will roll out this week, with an additional 2.9 million next week and 20 million by the end of the year.
If you have the option to get the vaccine, do it. Do it for your mom, your dad, your grandma, those people that are vulnerably ill.
96-year-old World War II vet Margaret Klessens was the first Veteran Affairs patient to receive the shot.
You know, I'm very proud of her. She's quite courageous. She's quite a courageous lady.
Nursing home residents are expected to start receiving vaccinations next week. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News.
CBS News has learned that the Trump administration delayed the vaccine to most nursing homes, working with the government's pharmacy partners like CVS to December 21st due to patient consent issues. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Sitting around waiting on the snow. It's not going to play a role in our morning, so don't worry about any travel concerns when you're out and about right now, as it's just mostly cloudy and cold. We've got wind chills as low as the teens. As we put future track into motion, you'll notice the majority of the snow really stays down to the southwest for the late afternoon, early evening hours. And then we start to see it pop up in the 4 states here. It takes us into early Wednesday. Should be done. I'm not anticipating many travel concerns even tomorrow morning. But the snow is going to stick because we're chilly up until the weekend.
Why some local organizations are voicing concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. Plus how Joplin's preparing for its first batch of COVID vaccines. And the KBI investigates the death of an armed robbery suspect at the Crawford County Jail.
The 4 states most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, the latest following the resignation of Attorney General William Barr. Something to talk about on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. We're asking whether or not you think we should have the Electoral College. You can vote in this morning's Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
A little bit of a dreary Tuesday morning because of the overcast and the cloud cover. Let's go ahead and remove the clouds, see how close the snow is inching toward us just on the west side of Wichita right now, and not coming down too hard. And it's going to be a while before it gets here, and so it won't play a role in our Tuesday morning travel. It is cold though, 28 degrees from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin, 26 in Pittsburgh, 28 in Miami. Let's go a pair of 28s in Carthage and Monette as well. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing the big trough that digs down there into almost central Texas, and that's that low pressure system that is progressing from the west to the east toward us. Going to be cold no matter which way you want to look at it. Temperature is only going to make it up into the mid-30s, so let's talk about this snow. Now down to our southwest, just on the other side of Oklahoma City right there. They're in the midst of a winter weather warning. They're looking at anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. We're not going to get anything like that. It's going to actually break up a little bit before it gets to us, but we'll still see a spot every now and then that'll pick up about ½ an inch of snow. Then it tapers off into flurries here late tonight into early Wednesday morning. Our road crews do such an excellent job that I'm not anticipating having really any travel concerns Wednesday morning or any cancellations for that matter. Like I said, we had managed to escape even a winter weather advisory that they have out to the west and southwest of us. Any snow that you do see does stick around though, because it's going to be chilly until we are able to rebound and get up into the 50s there by the end of the work week.
All right. I'm looking forward to a return to the 50s. It was a
well,
chilly this
that's
morning.
a nice little string of 50s that we
Yeah.
have. Thursday we'll see a smattering of 50s. That's not going to be a constant. We'll see some high 40s mixed in there as well. But then once we get into Friday, we're able to ride that into next week.
Yeah, yesterday morning was a little cold for me. Little cold.
We've kind of escaped, though, when you think about it, because the wind hasn't been terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
We haven't had that 15 to 20 mile an hour wind that cuts right through you.
Very true. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, in a web conference yesterday, different organizations in Kansas came together to express their concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. The Self-Advocate Coalition of Kansas, the Skill Organization, Prairie Independent Living Resource Center, Independent Connection, Topeka Independent Living Resource Center, and Kansas Adapt are all concerned that a large portion of Kansans have been left out of Phase 1A and B. Now, Phase 1A and B will currently distribute the vaccine to healthcare workers and nursing homes. But these groups say Kansans with disabilities who are receiving care in their own homes are at equally high risk and are being left out of Phase 1 along with their caretakers.
It's not housekeeping services, it's personal care services. And so they are very essential workers. And the people who receive those services clearly have pre-existing conditions. So their need to have the immunization available to them is very important.
Organizations have reached out to the state health department about riding those with disabilities in independent living situations into Phase 1. They are waiting to hear back. Oklahoma state leaders say yesterday marked a historic day in the fight against COVID-19. The first Oklahoman got the Pfizer vaccine. Several other frontline healthcare workers were also vaccinated in Oklahoma City. Amy Kaufman has a look at the state's distribution plan.
I'm not just doing it for me, I'm doing it for you and your family too.
Registered nurse Hannah White was the first Oklahoman to receive the first dose of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. This morning, 33,000 doses were delivered to Oklahoma to be distributed across the state 72 hours after it was approved by the FDA. 7,800 doses went to Integris in Oklahoma City and 9,750 were given to St. Francis in Tulsa.
This vaccine is a big piece of this puzzle, but we still need to keep doing our part.
State health officials say partners have donated storage equipment, especially in rural areas, to help keep the vaccine cold. But they say it'll take time to get the doses out for distribution.
Everyone should continue to wear a mask, wash your hands, watch your distance while you wait for the vaccine.
Phase 1 of the state's plan includes frontline healthcare workers, public health staff, EMTs, and paramedics. Long-term care residents and staff will get the vaccine through the Federal Pharmacy Partner Program.
It will take several months and many more vaccination phases to see the beneficial effects on public health.
Dr. Douglas Drevitz from OU Health says side effects could include pain at the injection site and a mild headache, but says both vaccines are very safe. He hopes people understand the importance of getting the vaccine.
When people ask me how badly should we want to take the vaccine, my question is always back, how badly do you want to get back to what you remember as a normal life?
Well, state health leaders say they hope to have 166,000 doses of the vaccine by the end of the year, which means 166,000 Oklahomans will be one step closer in being protected. City of Joplin is prepping for its first dose of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. City officials say they expect the vaccine to come either this week or next. In Joplin, it will be initially sent to Freeman and Mercy hospitals. While Pfizer's vaccine has been shipped nationally, officials say they're not sure yet just how much of the vaccine will initially be made available to Joplin. Even if you've already had COVID, officials say you should still get vaccinated.
It's very likely that individuals who have had COVID have developed an antibody response and have some level of protection. this is still new enough in that area that we just don't know how long that will last. So the current recommendations is yes, if you've had COVID, go ahead and get the vaccination.
City officials say once the COVID vaccine is opened up to the general public, it should be as available as the flu vaccine, meaning it will be in doctors' offices, pharmacies, and even in drive-through clinics. The Joplin Health Department is reporting 4 more COVID-19 related deaths. Officials say 2 of them were men, ages 82 and 85, and 2 were residents of a long-term care facility. Those patients were an 81-year-old man and a 62-year-old woman. This brings Joplin's total death count attributed to COVID-19 to 76. Kansas Bureau of Investigation is looking into an inmate death at the Crawford County Jail. Officials with the jail say officers found 46-year-old William Haddon unresponsive in his cell, tried to give him aid, but were unsuccessful. Haddon was arrested for allegedly robbing a couple of convenience stores and the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas in Pittsburgh. Authorities in Newton County, Missouri arrest 2 suspects in an armed robbery on Friday in Miami, Oklahoma. Authorities say Daniel Duran and Gabriela Espinoza were spotted in Newton County and led sheriff's deputies on a chase on I-44 and shot at deputies, but did not hit them. The suspects were eventually stopped at exit 26 and arrested after a short standoff. Both are charged with first-degree assault and 2 counts of child endangerment. Duran is also charged with armed criminal action. A Chinook, Kansas man dies after suffering a medical incident while behind the wheel of a Freightliner. Police say it happened yesterday a little before 4 p.m. about 6 miles east of Catoosa, Oklahoma. 59-year-old Albin Stinger was driving north on US 412 when a medical incident caused him to roll his vehicle through the intersection of 412P. Stinger was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. The battle for control of the Senate remains in full force in the state of Georgia. We'll have the latest there. Plus, should the Electoral College be abolished? We let you weigh in for our Something to Talk About. But first, it's 6:37.
Still staying out to the west, so no concerns on a Tuesday morning. Temperatures are going to be chilly. Mostly cloudy skies, only in the mid-30s. And that snow, then it gets upon us late this afternoon throughout the evening hours, but our accumulation only about ½ an inch, so shouldn't really play a role for tomorrow morning. We'll be back with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, early voting is underway in Georgia ahead of January's crucial runoff elections. This comes ahead of today's scheduled visit from President-elect Joe Biden. Steve Harrigan has more from Atlanta.
3 weeks of in-person early voting begins today in the 2 runoff races that will determine which party controls the Senate for the next 2 years. On a chilly, rainy morning, many polling places reported lines of less than half an hour. 1.2 million voters requested absentee ballots. Democrats John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock say it is time for dramatic change.
What's really on the ballot? Health care is on the ballot. A livable wage is on the ballot. Criminal justice reform is on the ballot.
Republicans David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler say their opponents are out of step with Georgia's conservative values. Their task of encouraging supporters to vote has been complicated by President Trump's criticism of Georgia's voting process and Republican Governor Brian Kemp. The president last week referred to the governor as hapless, this week as a fool and a clown. It is forcing Republicans to rehash the November election.
What we're doing is make sure that we have more signature verification. We're in the courts right now fighting for that.
The political fight got physical at a Get Out the Vote rally this weekend when an Ossoff supporter was beaten.
This is the political climate that we're dealing with in America right now.
Police arrested the alleged attacker. The violence was condemned immediately by Senator Perdue, who tweeted, "Behavior like this is absolutely disgusting and has no place in our civil society."
Both parties are expected to spend more than $500 million to be spent on these 2 races. Attorney General William Barr submitted his resignation letter to the White House on Monday. His last day will be December 23rd. Barr will be replaced by Deputy Attorney General Jeff Rosen, who will serve as acting Attorney General. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Morning Talker.
Thank you, Tanya. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page, and our Something to Talk About Instapoll question: should the Electoral College be abolished? Votes were counted yesterday. We'll kick off with Teresa Marquez. Teresa says yes. So sick of it. Everyone needs to move on and start acting like adults again. It is what it is. We have a new president that the people voted for. John Tribune says no, we will not get rid of the Electoral College vote. If you do the big cities, we're on our vote. He says, let's keep erasing our history and see where it goes. Good morning, America. Good morning, John. James Pinniger says yes, every vote should matter. It would make the process more simple and avoid future election fiascos like this. And Lori Miller says, I think if the majority votes one way, it should be that way regardless who it is and what party they belong to. Comments about voting in person only. She asks, really, how will the military vote? Can't say vote in person and only allow a group of people to vote by mail. As far as our Instapoll, we've got 68% of you say no. It should not be abolished, 32% saying yes, and you've got plenty of time to vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We're going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Staff Sergeant Owen Ziegler, a member of the United States Army from 2004 to 2007. He served in Iraq and Afghanistan, where he received the Purple Heart. His hometown, Minden Mines, Missouri. We are proud to salute Owen Ziegler, our four-state hero.
Getting a birthday list off with Isaac Coaster, as Isaac celebrates the big number 4. Isaac, this is special love from Gigi and Mimi, as he is in Chanute.
And he's a Paw Patrol fan. I can see that too. Happy birthday, Isaac. Noah Puckett celebrating birthday number 5 this year. Great smile there, Noah, in Fredonia.
Lauren O'Brien, she happens to be an 8th grader at St. Mary's Junior High. Lauren, I want you to have a marvelous day at school and a very happy birthday to you.
Wow, already in 8th grade. Happy birthday, Lauren. And happy birthday to Landon Weedy, who's now 15 years old. Hope it's a great one, Landon.
Little Mustang pride right there. Happy birthday, Landon. Cameron Alexander celebrating a 17th birthday. Your best friend right there. Cameron's in Granby.
Sonny Pike turning 52 years old this year. Hope you have a great one in Nevada, Sonny. Happy birthday.
Bernice O'Farrell. She is celebrating her 62nd birthday. I love the black and white photo there, Miss Bernice. She celebrates in Asbury.
All right, happy birthday, Bernice. And happy birthday from your sister, Donna Linda. Linda Sarton is turning 65 years old this year in Girard.
Let's run out to Ellsmore, because that's where Beverly Covey is celebrating a 66th birthday. Happy birthday, Beverly.
In Buffalo, Kansas, it's time to celebrate for Cindy Harvey. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Cindy. Marvelous family. Judy Korn, happy birthday in Carthage. Dora Mae Hines is celebrating her 89th birthday. A very happy birthday to you, Miss Dora Mae. And John Hale, as he celebrates his 22nd. John wants you to know that these birthday wishes come from Grandma Carlson. John, a cowboy at Oklahoma State University. Stay out of that snow today, John. Now, here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And when you do, you'll be eligible for special deals from local businesses. So go to KOAMnewsnow.com/birthdays. Sign up for the Birthday Club today.
Even with the cloud cover that we have on this Tuesday morning, kind of a cool sight outside of Television City right there. The sun just trying to creep through those clouds. Just thought that was kind of neat, but it gives you an idea of the extent of the cloud cover. So it's going to be a mostly cloudy day. All the snow hanging out to our west as we await it for later this afternoon and evening. Now we're starting to get some snow reports here piling up along I-70. They're really going to have a mess down to our southwest. So you see the counties in white right there, and got the suburbs of OKC involved in that. That's a winter storm warning. They're looking at 3 to 5 inches by the time it's said and done. The purple indicates a winter weather advisory, so lets up a little bit. And then you can tell as you graduate east toward the 4 states, we actually are able to avoid either a warning or an advisory. So while we're going to see snow, it's not going to be anything like what they're going to have to the west and southwest of us. Cold Tuesday start, 28 right now in Joplin, 26 in Pittsburgh. Let's go 29 in Neosho and 27 in Chanute. No work travel worries as far as whether it be the kids headed off to the bus stop or you trying to get to work. Just cold. We still at 16 right now for a wind chill in Iola, only 25 in Carthage and 29 in Grove. This is the low pressure system. You can see the jet stream bottoms out there with the trough, and that's a pretty good band of snow. Luckily, like I said, it's going to taper as it moves east toward us. Going to be a chilly one today, mid-30s, as good as we're going to get. So anything that does fall here on Future Track, that's the mess. Half an inch of accumulation, but it's going to stick around. It's not going to be like it was over the weekend, you know, where most of it hit and then melted right away. Pushing out on Wednesday, and then as we head toward the weekend, finally going to get a little bit of a warm-up here on Thursday and Friday. So just be apprised that it's going to be on the ground. Our road crews do such a good job not anticipating any Wednesday morning travel concerns. But like I said, if you're headed down southwest, you got to go to Tulsa, OKC. No, it does get thicker as you head down there. We'll be back. Wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. McCune, Kansas woman dies in a 3-vehicle crash yesterday evening. It happened a little after 6 on Highway 400, about 10 miles east of US 59. Police say 44-year-old Mandy Carstetter was traveling east when she attempted to turn north onto Messer Road. Her vehicle was rear-ended by a truck following behind and then struck again by a semi heading west. Carstetter was pronounced dead at the scene. Kansas Bureau of Investigation is looking into an inmate death at the Crawford County Jail. Officials with the jail say officers found 46-year-old William Haddon unresponsive in his cell, tried to give him aid, but were unsuccessful. Haddon was arrested for allegedly robbing a couple of convenience stores in the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas in Pittsburgh. Different organizations in Kansas came together to express their concerns over the Kansas vaccine distribution plan. Phases 1A and B will currently distribute the vaccine to healthcare workers and nursing homes. But groups such as Skill say Kansans with disabilities who are receiving care in their own homes are at equally high risk and are being left out of Phase 1 along with their caretakers. City of Joplin is prepping for its first batch of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. City officials say they expect the vaccine to come either this week or next. In Joplin, it will initially be sent to Freeman and Mercy hospitals. While Pfizer's vaccine has been shipped nationally, officials say they're not sure yet just how much of the vaccine will initially be made available to Joplin. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Probably consider ourselves lucky because as you take out the door, we don't have any weather travel concerns, even though we're awaiting some afternoon and evening snow. Give you an idea of what Future Track has. We see it really taper off after it gets through central Kansas right there. Not meaning we are going to see some snow. We'll get pockets of half an inch of accumulation every now and then. But like I said, compared to the winter weather warnings and advisories that they have out to the west and southwest of us, we're certainly going to be a whole lot better on Wednesday morning than what they're going to be.
Well, today we're giving you a chance to make a difference in the lives of 4 state families, and it's as easy as making a phone call.
Here's what we're going to do during the KOAM News at noon and at 5 and 6. It's our Toy Box Tuesday telethon, and operators are going to be taking your calls and donations for the KOAM Toy Box. Carl Junction, right today, Tanya? I believe so. So I tell you what, if you want to make a monetary donation today, you can just call in during the show. You can go online right now and make a donation at KOAMnewsnow.com or on the KOAM News app. Just click on Toy Box at the top of the page, and thank you to everyone who has made a monetary donation or a unwrapped toy donation, not only here at the mothership, but also too at our studios at 7th and Rangeline in Joplin.
Of course, that's going to be a big part of our show today at noon is our final Toy Box Telethon.
888-620-4TOY.
Yes, but if you are not available during the noon 5 or 6 Don't forget, you can donate anytime online.
That's right. All right, your morning news continues on KOAM, CBS Morning News. That's coming up next.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, Jesse offers us some last-minute shopping advice.
All right, looking forward to that. So flip on over, join us there. And of course, we'll keep on updating the Skywatch Storm Tracker as well. Have a great, safe Tuesday. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.
3,